So, you run a business with a ton of daily sales. Maybe a coffee shop, a retail store, anything with a busy counter. You know that end-of-day bookkeeping grind, right? Well, what if I told you that you could take all of those sales and smash them down into one simple, clean entry? In this explainer, we're going to break down an awesome time-saving method for recording daily sales in QuickBooks Online. It's perfect for anyone who doesn't need to create an invoice for every single customer who walks in the door.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the problem, what I'm calling the daily sales grind. Then, we're going to walk through a simple, one-time setup that makes this whole system possible. After that, we get to the good stuff, the super quick 2-minute daily entry. And finally, we'll wrap up by showing you how to reconcile your deposits and talk about why this method is, frankly, a total game changer.
All right, section 1, the daily sales grind. Let's dig into the problem we're trying to solve here, because I'm willing to bet it sounds familiar.
The doors are locked, the lights are dimmed, you are tired, and now you have to sit down and punch in every single transaction. Sound familiar? It's repetitive, it's slow, and honestly, there is a much, much smarter way to get it done.
And that smarter way is all built around one simple, powerful idea: a single daily sales receipt. Seriously, instead of creating dozens, maybe even hundreds, of individual entries, you just create one. It summarizes everything: all your sales, all your taxes, all your different payment types for the entire day. It keeps your books clean, super efficient, and perfectly accurate.
Now, to make this daily magic happen, we do need to do a little bit of prep work inside QuickBooks. But here's the key. You only have to do this once. Think of it as a small investment that's going to pay you back in saved time every single day. We're basically about to build the foundation for this whole workflow. It just involves setting up 4 key building blocks. Once these are in place, they're just there, ready for you to use day in and day out.
So let's break down these 4 steps. First, we're going to create a generic customer, literally just called daily sales. Next, we'll set up a couple of special accounts to handle the money flow. Then, we'll create the actual sales and payment items that go on the receipt. And finally, we'll wrap it all up in a neat, reusable template so you never have to build this thing from scratch again.
So why a generic customer? Well, think about it. You don't really need a unique customer record for every person who bought a latte, right? Using one daily sales customer keeps your customer list clean and stops it from getting ridiculously bloated. It puts the focus on the daily summary, not the individual person.
Okay, these 3 accounts are the engine that makes this whole thing run. Daily sales income is pretty obvious. That's where all your revenue goes. The clearing account is a really important idea. Think of it like a temporary holding pen for your money before it's officially deposited in the bank. And overage and underage, this one's clever. It's an expense account that lets you perfectly track if your cash drawer is ever short or over at the end of the day.
With our accounts ready to go, we now need to create the actual line items that we'll be using on that sales receipt, and each one of these is going to be linked to one of the accounts we just created.
And here you can see exactly how it all connects. The daily sales income item points to our income account, overage/underage points to that special expense account, but now look closely. See how all the payment types, cash, check, Visa, all of them, they all point to undeposited funds? This is absolutely crucial. It's basically a digital bucket in QuickBooks that holds the money you've collected but haven't taken to the bank yet. It's what makes reconciling your deposits so easy later on.
Okay, we've got our customer, our accounts, and our items. The last step in this setup is to put them all together into a sales receipt template. We're going to set this up as a recurring but unscheduled template, which basically means you're creating a master copy, a reusable form that's all set for you to fill in every day.
So you'll just create a new template and add all these items we just made. It pre-populates the sales receipt for you, turning it into a simple fill-in-the-blanks form. And with that, boom, the one-time setup is officially done.
All right, deep breath. The foundation is built. The hard part is over. Now for the payoff. Let's see just how fast and easy your daily bookkeeping is about to become. This is where you're going to feel the magic.
The best way to really get this is to just walk through an example with some real numbers. Let's pretend it's the end of the day, you've got your Z-tape from the register, and we're going to plug it into our new template.
Okay, so let's say your end-of-day report shows total sales of $1,177.20. Now, that total is made up of 2 parts: your actual income from products, which is $1,080, plus $97.20 in sales tax you collected. That's our starting number.
So how did people pay for all that? Your report shows it came in through a typical mix of methods. You got some cash, a check, and payments from a few different credit cards. Each of these is going to get its own line on our sales receipt. Now, we all know cash drawers aren't always perfect. So let's imagine after you count up all the cash, you realize you're short by $16.35. In the old days, this might have been a headache. But for us, no sweat. This is exactly why we made that overage and underage account. We can record this discrepancy perfectly.
And here is the aha moment. The absolute key to this whole thing is how it all balances out to zero. Check it out. Your sales income and the tax you collected, those are positive numbers. Then, every payment you received is entered as a negative number because those payments reduce the total amount owed. And finally, that cash shortage goes in as a positive expense. When you add it all up, the receipt totals zero. That's the signal to QuickBooks that this transaction is complete and paid in full. The slate is clean.
Okay, you've recorded the sale. That's awesome, but we have to complete the cycle. The last piece of the puzzle is recording the actual bank deposit. This is what makes sure your QuickBooks records match your real-world bank statements perfectly.
Closing this loop is super simple. In QuickBooks, you just go to the bank deposit screen. It'll show you a list of all the payments that are sitting in that undeposited funds bucket we set up. You just check off the payments that make up the physical deposit you're taking to the bank, say the cash and checks from that day, and you save it. Just like that, your books match the bank. No more guesswork.
So we've gone through the problem, the setup, and the super fast daily process. Let's just step back for a second and summarize exactly why this method is such a massive upgrade for your bookkeeping.
I mean, the benefits here really speak for themselves. First and foremost, the time you save every day is just huge. Your financial reports stay clean and accurate without all the clutter of hundreds of tiny transactions. It makes matching your deposits to your bank statements incredibly simple. And it's the absolute perfect workflow for any business that uses a separate point of sale system or just a good old-fashioned cash register.
Ultimately, this method gives you back valuable time you were probably wasting on tedious data entry. That's time you can now spend growing your business, talking to your customers, or maybe just going home a little bit earlier. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it?